Friends and fans of heavy metal, this is another episode of the Nuclear PODBLAST, the official podcast for Nuclear Blast Records. I am your host of Metal Ceremonies, Andrew Sample, and this is actually our 15th episode. So once again, thanks for joining the program and checking out the Nuclear PODBLAST. It's been too long since the last episode, of course. I say that every time. This one's certainly high on quality, even though we have only 2 interviews on tap. Michael Wyckoff from Helloween is our first guest, and some of Helloween's music ranks really high in my collection. They've definitely experimented with some albums along the way, which every great artist and band does, but this latest reunion album, so to speak, the self-titled Helloween record, is high-caliber metal written well and contains enough elements of their classic and current vibes, which makes for a super enjoyable ride. The epic single Skyfall came out quite some time ago, along with that killer video, but the album has several great songs, and you'll hear a couple of those along with my interview with Wykie coming up in just a bit. Also, our other interview, I've known Dino Cazares from Fear Factory since my first year living in Los Angeles more than 20 years ago, and I've always enjoyed his company and our conversations about music and other things. When Burton Bell left the band officially after the new album was recorded, I was bummed like so many other fans, but the fact that Aggression Continuum actually saw the light of day was no small undertaking for Dino, and congratulations to him first and foremost for this record coming out. So we'll hear from Dino as well. I'll also run down some of the Nuclear Blast artists' tour dates that have been announced, and there are plenty of new exclusive releases and bundled merch packages available at nuclearblastusa.com, and I'll highlight some of those a little bit later on, but let's get to the metal. Go Ahead and Die. The band features vocalist and guitarist Max Cavalera, of course, joining forces with his son, singer, guitar, and bass player Igor Amadeus Cavalera, as well as Zach Coleman on drums, and you know him from Chemist. Yeah, right here in the great state of Colorado. The self-titled debut sees Max and Igor splitting guitar and vocal duties with utter madman-style drumming from Zach, and from the mouth of Max himself, quote, "We wanted it to have that feeling that it's almost a little dangerous, a little bit on the edge. We weren't worried about being technical or making stuff sound clean. None of that. It was all about unleashing what I like to call caveman riffs. It's not sophisticated, it's raw and brutal," end quote. Engineered by Charles Elliott of Nuclear Blast and Abysmal Dawn fame. This one's called Roadkill from the self-titled Go Ahead and Die record, out now. It's the Nuclear PODBLAST.
Find all the latest releases, bundles, and pre-orders at nuclearblastusa.com. Subscribe to the free email newsletter and receive a 10% off coupon to the Nuclear Blast USA online store.
That track is Slaughtered in Soho from the upcoming Carcass album Torn Arteries, slated for September 17th. Hell yeah, man. That will be 8 years exactly to the day since the Surgical Steel album was released. Now, Slaughtered in Soho is named after a demo tape recorded by former Carcass drummer Ken Owen. Now, this is the band's first album with guitarist Tom Draper, making it the first time since Swan Song in 1996 that they had recorded as a four-piece. This follows the Despicable EP from Carcass, and the band's North American merchandise company, Rebellion Republic, has a slew of new Carcass merch designs for the new release, including LP and shirt bundles. Some new patch designs available as well. Check them out at rebellionrepublic.com. Now, the first time I saw the name Helloween, it was the Walls of Jericho release in the bins when I was a kid, and I'd never read anything on the band before, so seeing the name Helloween was just a little confusing and a bit funny as well. So I skipped over that, only to discover the band's music on Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1. Yeah, I was a little late to the Helloween parade, okay. But man, do I love that album as well as Keeper number 2. The band has had so many amazing releases throughout their career, and they definitely experimented along the way, as we said before. But this self-titled reunion album, so to speak, which brings together longtime Helloween lead singer Andy Darris with classic-era Helloween vocalist Michael Kiske, as well as original Helloween guitarist and vocalist Kai Hansen, who has been the mastermind behind Gamma Ray since his departure from Helloween in 1989. I got a chance to work with Kai Hansen when Gamma Ray released the Power Plant album in 1999. He came to Los Angeles to do a promo trip for that album. And yes, I definitely got him to sign some of my classic Helloween vinyl. It was great to speak with Michael again when the band released Rabbit Don't Come Easy, the strangely titled record way back 15, 16 years ago. The band were in LA for an extra day before the show there, and earlier that day I'd borrowed a friend of mine's early 70s Dodge Dart to take 3 members of the band around Hollywood doing different promo interviews. We stopped in at knac.com and some other places, so it was a super fun trip. But again, good to talk to Michael after such a long time, and a fun interview as well from the self-titled Helloween record, Out for Glory, on the Nuclear PODBLAST.
masterful one. Wake up. Your head still may be fuzzy from intoxicating dreams, but it's the Emperor's Chariot race day. Your dedicated old guard eagerly await your presence at the Colosseum. As for your large flagon of ale, alas it went flat, and regrettably I had to throw it away. Come now, not a moment to waste.
We're back with the Nuclear PODBLAST, and such a pleasure to have Michael Wykoff for guitarist and founding member, main songwriter of Helloween for 35 plus years now.
Yeah.
Doing okay?
Hey everyone. I found a member, and I wrote some songs. That's cool.
Well, thanks again for taking the time. The self-titled Helloween record, out June 18th. I think your 19th album at this point. It's been 6 years since My God-Given Right was released. When you began writing music for what would become this new album, did you have an idea of where you wanted to go musically compared to, say, the previous release or two? Or how did that start?
We had an inside joke going because, the Judas Priest had just released the album Firepower, and our manager was raving about it and whatever. And he said, what a guitar sound and stuff. And we said, yeah, that's the angle we usually use, and we ought to go back to Marshall, and whatever. And that's what we did. And we had that inside joke, and I kept remembering that idea to maybe come up with some extraordinary riffs into that direction. And apart from that, I think everyone involved, like the composers in this band, they would exactly know what to do. And eventually we accumulated all that cool stuff that we found when we had a meeting in a hotel in Hamburg just to compare demos and stuff. And so everyone's been working hard, taking good care of coming up with great stuff, great arrangements and so on. And that actually was evident when we compared demos for the first time. And then we said, we already got all the stuff. And the manager said, but, we need some commercial single and this and a bit more keeper. And that, we got all that, be cool. We have it all already. And then Sasha came up with Best Times, and eventually towards the end of the pre-production process that we had during November, December of that year later on, the Kai Hansen started conceiving the Skyfall, which then was almost finished at the end of the pre-production period. And we went from there. Then we had all the tracks. Then we had a few additional bonus tracks, some leftovers and stuff. That was just that, it came along natural.
The album starts off with Out for the Glory, super in your face, I think written by yourself, actually.
I did that.
There you go. Well, it sounds right at home with some of the older classic Helloween opening album tracks. The energy is high and the playing is fierce. And it's obvious that Helloween again means business right out of the gate with that opening track.
Yeah, and then we had the recordings more or less finished. And then the Kai Hansen, he also added some Brian May type of guitars. Because we've been doing things separately, everyone's been recorded at their respective studios with their respective engineers. And so I've been sitting here in Tenerife with Charlie, and we've been finishing all the guitar work that I had left to do. And then the Kai Hansen sent some material with these additional guitars for the Out for the Glory, and came up with amazing rhythm guitars that were all combined later by Charlie to maintain that energy that we have on the live record that he wanted to have back yet another time. And so that's the way it went. And it also went easy. It's just like, he said a lot of cool stuff here, and I want to hear some, it's going to stay or what. And I said, yeah, that's good stuff. And so ever since that track was finished, and the Michael Kiske had asked me beforehand, because it is so typical, Helloween and 80s and keeper material and whatever, if he could kind of take it as his feature track where he would sing most of the time. And I said, yes, but for the Iron Minions, there's got to be the Kai Hands and so on. That's the way it went.
So again, backtracking just a little bit, when you started putting together the material for this record, it was already decided that all three singers would be involved. That was already decided immediately after the tour, the Pumpkins United tour, or kind of tell us how that came from the tour into the record.
The touring was so successful, and we had all these huge impacts by the fans and heartfelt reactions with like the first 3 rows crying and whatever, and us too, because it overtook us. And then the idea of the fans was, guys, I mean, if you're doing it this way, you got to do another album yet. And then record company said, and management said, new album. And then we just went straight into composing some stuff.
Well, you mentioned Skyfall already, featuring all 3 vocalists, and that's obviously the epic track on the record. I think the video is still over 7 minutes long, the edited video. That having the alien landing on Earth theme going on looks like it was a blast to be a part of. Can you tell us about the making of the video?
Yeah, well, we had to go there by plane, obviously, because we're all living in different parts of Europe. And then eventually with like COVID restrictions and stuff and wearing masks and whatever, we just, started shooting. Basically, because like we wanted to take some racy guitars. That's why we have these and those pointy things and stuff to cater to that flying V spaceship in the video and stuff. So it was that everything's got to look modern and racy and stuff. And then we just went, playback was running out loud, and some CGI things were added to like the natural recordings that were taken on a regular camera. And it's all looking pretty good, I'd say.
It's a lot of fun. Fear of the Fallen is the second single, or second track on the album, and I believe the second single as well. And it's an immediate standout track. Andy sounds like he's in better vocal shape than ever. Was this an immediate choice for a single as well, or?
Oh, there's been thinking about like what particular tracks could be picked over time to be released. And in fact, we're talking about Skyfall, Fear of the Fallen, Best Time, Out for the Glory. That's going to be the stuff that will be released as some kind of extra single or whatever, because that's supposedly presenting like the album and the way it is the best way. And then they're being timed at particular points in time, also. Depending on whenever what kind of video which is conceived for each of these tracks is going to be finished. So it's going to be spread out all over the year till the end of the year with these extra tracks being featured.
Very cool. Well, you mentioned you touched on Best Time already. That's a fun and uplifting song. How does it feel after 35 years to have so many crucial members of the band involved with the most recent offering?
That's just, also we know each other's capabilities and stuff, and you can sit down and guess, okay, if he's singing that part, it's going to be like this, and that's more or less the way it went. We also had the production team of Dennis Ward of ex-Pink Cream and Unisonic, obviously, who has like tight knowledge of everyone in the band, and Charlie Bauerfeind, who's been the producer of Helloween ever since The Dark Ride back then. And so eventually things just fall into place, and you can say that we had like this planning for which vocalist is going to sing what. And Dennis Ward, he had laid out different colors for the lines for them to sing. And then obviously, there was a lot of agreement, like going, I'm going to sing this. Yeah, I'm going to sing that. That's a good idea. Yeah. And that's the way it went.
I wanted to ask, is it true that you used one of Ingo's older drum kits for the recording of at least some of the albums?
The same drum set that was used on the Keeper 1 at least. I'm not sure if he had it during the Keeper... No, Keeper 2, right? Keeper 2, that's for sure. And I'm not even sure if I remember right if he had that drum kit already during the Keeper 1. Could be, but I'm not quite sure. And definitely Keeper 2. And it was placed in the room of the studio where actually the Chameleon was recorded, which was the same one where we had like the pre-production phase.
It's nice to have that lineage still within the band. That's very cool.
Definitely.
The album cover as well is astonishing. How did that come about for you to be using that piece?
There were like 3 artists competing in like basic ideas for a possible cover. And so we chose the Cantor right away. He's been known to have done other great projects with other bands beforehand. And we thought he just captured the spirit the best way, and also like oil painting type of. And then it was said, but I'd like to have some magic rings from the Master of the Rings, and I'd like to have the trumpet blower of the Walls of Jericho elsewhere and stuff. And then we had that idea to extend it to that landscape cover where you get to see like many more things. I think even the Dr. Steen is placed there somewhere, but I didn't find him yet.
I've only seen a very small image of it, so it's not that detailed yet, for me at least. You mentioned Charlie before, working with him for more than 20 years now. At this point, he's got to be just an extended member of the band.
In a way, he is, because like he has that knowledge of each and every personality in the band and problems that may occur if you tackle things the wrong way. So he's not going that way; he's going a different way because he knows. And then it ought to be like quite some surprise, if we manage to get into difficult situations after having all that knowledge and having been used to working with each other. So that was another plus, to keep going with that. And the addition of Dennis Ward, and they complemented each other incredibly well, because like they're both having a different approach to producing, but they're both super great producers.
Well, this is such a rewarding and exciting record for old school Helloween fans, in between new fans. And it seems you've almost gone and done the ultimate by getting, again, Michael and Kai back with this record. So congratulations on the self-titled Helloween record, again, out June 18th. And
we're very proud of it. It's like an amazing result of really good companionship, that happens after all, happens kind of automatically and as if by magic. And the thing is, all this wouldn't mean much, if there weren't like the steady support of all our fans who have been longing for something like this. And there it finally is, It makes us extremely proud and happy as well.
Well, what a great undertaking and amazing results. So congratulations again. Michael, thank you for taking the time for the Nuclear PODBLAST. We hope to see you touring North America, hopefully next year then.
Hopefully, yeah.
Cheers, man.
Right. Yes, sir.
Decide and stand your ground, my friend. Refuse and your fall goes hand in hand. Decide, decide, decide. Time for reckoning.
to take it? Is this the life you're chasing? Is this your own heart beating? Is this you who is feeling? Here comes the fear of the falling. We rise when you're calling. And light in the light. We are the flame in the fire. The voice and the choir. We're always nearby. Is this the road you're taking? Is this the life you're chasing? Decide and stand your ground, my friend. The world will sure change in the end. Decide. 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 Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Listen. Here comes the fear of the falling. We rise when you're calling. And light in the light. We are the flame in the fire. The voice in the choir. We're always nearby. Decide.
This is the Nuclear PodBlast, the official podcast for Nuclear Blast Records.
Cemeteral Gardens from the 1997 demo from Decapitated. Here on the Nuclear PODBLAST, the first damned demos have been released by Poland's technical metal virtuosos on CD, colored vinyl, and colored cassette formats. The early raw stuff from Decapitated. Vogue states, "Here we go, the first damned, our first steps that we did as teenagers." Check it out. No remastering, no remixing, no bullshit. Raw and deadly as it was back then. Enjoy. And before that, you heard Fear of the Fallen from Helloween. And a big thanks to Wyke for taking the time. This was a couple months back we were doing the interview, for taking the time out for the Nuclear PODBLAST. Such a cool new album. Hope you enjoy the new Helloween. Let's talk Nuclear Blast tours. Sabaton supporting Judas Priest in North America, starting September 8th in Reading, Pennsylvania, running through November 5th in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Carnifex is currently on a headline run. Carnifex will also be joining Black Dahlia Murder After the Burial and others for a North American run from September 3rd that starts in Chicago through October 10th in New York City. Cataclysm is direct support for Deicide throughout North America, August 5th through August 29th. Internal Bleeding and Begat the Nephilim also on those dates. Soulfly have announced a U.S. run for this summer with Nivian and Suicide Puppets in support. The 32-date tour will launch on August 20th in Albuquerque and ending in Los Angeles on September 24th. Back to the tunes, Interloper have released a music video for their track Pathkeeper in support of the release of their debut album Search Party. The group features ex-Rings of Saturn guitarist Miles Dimitri Baker and drummer Aaron Stationer among their ranks. Says Baker, "I am thrilled to have Search Party out in its entirety. It's been a long time coming, and I can't thank the fans enough, old and new, for sticking with us and digging what we're doing. It's been a lot of hard work making it to release day, and I couldn't be more proud of all the time, effort, energy, and emotion that the guys and myself put into Search Party." Man, that's great to hear, such positive vibes. This is Pathkeeper from Search Party, Interloper, the Nuclear PODBLAST.
You're safe to fall to the fair.
Thanks for checking out the Nuclear PODBLAST. Music to mangle your minds.
You Will Be the Death of Me, the latest album from Light the Torch, landed at number 3 on the Billboard Hard Music charts and number 10 on the Rock Album charts. Congrats to Howard Jones and company. Yeah. There's a new video out for the track Let Me Fall Apart at the Nuclear Blast YouTube channel, and you just heard the first single from that album, More Than Dreaming. Recently, I was going through some old Ozfest photos from 2003, which was the year after Howard joined the band, and he was such a commanding presence even back then. So cool that he's been able to extend his career with Light the Torch, and some great songwriting as well. Again, congratulations to the guys on those Billboard chart numbers. Getting set for the interview with Dino Cazares of Fear Factory. I remember a few weeks before Demanufacture came out in 1995, I was still hosting a show on college radio and had a cassette advance of the album from Roadrunner Records, a cassette advance, yeah. I remember the effect that the new album had on people and ourselves just at that time. So the fact that this new album kind of continues that spirit from those years. Enjoy the interview with Dino, but first, something from the record. This is Recode, New Fear Factory on the Nuclear PODBLAST.
The world we know has suffered from the system we once knew. Our values were twisted and defiled by the machine, but resistance is growing stronger. We will fight for our future. Humanity depends on us. Do not let our enemy prevail. If you are listening to this, you are the Resistance.
Back with the Nuclear Pod Blast, we've got Dino Cazares from Fear Factory joining us. Hey man, thanks so much for taking the time out for the Pod Blast. The brand new record is upon us. It's been out for a little while, a few weeks now. You must be feeling pretty good about things.
Oh, I'm very happy that it finally got to come out, and I want to say thank you for having me on here.
No problem. It's been a few years. We've known each other for a long time. So the record, Aggression Continuum, brings one right back to the classic days of Fear Factory. Not to sell it short on creativity or originality, but there seems to definitely be a focus to the writing and the delivery that really kind of puts you in a time and place.
Well, every record that I work on, we always try to push it to the next level or try to bring in new elements here and there. One of the really cool things that we were able to do is we actually had about 5 different keyboard players on this record. So we had Igor, I can't say his last name, it's kind of hard, he's Russian. Igor Kryshkov did a lot of the keyboards on the record. Damien Reynaud, who's our co-producer, did some of the keyboards. Giuseppe Bassi, based out of Italy. He has a production company called Dualized Dysfunction. He did some keyboards. And a guy named Max Caron, based out of Las Vegas, he did some of the keyboards. And, of course, the classic Reese Fulber did a couple of tracks. So we were able to bring in different keyboards. And I kind of like it because each track kind of has a different vibe about it. It's not all the same keyboard lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. But it still has kind of keeping the family vibe with Reese still involved.
Yes, for sure. That was one of the things that I wanted to bring back because most people don't know is that we actually finished the record way back in 2017. But because of legal reasons, we couldn't put the record out for 3+ years. So when things swayed our way and we were able to use the name again, after the record been sitting there for 3 years, we were able to go back and make some changes. One of the changes was, getting the different keyboard players, getting Andy Sneap to mix the album.
Crucial.
Very crucial. He's an A-list mixer, as most people know. He mixed our record Genexus, which is a great record. Mm-hmm. And we were able to get Damien Reynaud again, who worked on Genexus and Industrialist with us as well. And then Mike Keller, our drummer, was able to go into the studio and record live drums. So basically, we got the dream team back together and was able to get this record out.
And that was exciting to read that, if I'm right, that being able to get Andy involved as well as Mike to do the real drum tracks you funded that with crowdfunding from fans, is that correct?
Yes, we had a very successful crowdfunding campaign that we put out there, and we definitely reached our goal pretty quickly, and we were able to, cover all the costs, all the extra costs that we incurred during the new recording process.
Well, obviously the lineup has changed, like you said, since the recording of the album started with Burton not being in the band. And before I even go there on possibly asking about the progress with, divulging a new vocalist, before that, did the lineup change affect your passion for the songs that were already written and recorded? Did it change your direction as far as like how you wanted the album to be released? Anything like that?
No, definitely not at all. I mean, going through everything that I've gone through, it's like going through hell and back. But at the same time, it didn't deter me at all from being proud of what I created and what's coming out.
The song intros and the titles themselves suggest a utopian future where the listener is a part of the resistance. Can you explain
yes.
Can you explain the theme and concept just a little bit more?
Yeah, well, the whole concept of the record is pretty much the relationship between human and AI, right? Mm-hmm. And that's been pretty much our concept since day one.
Right.
The relationship, and certain things become obsolete in a relationship. Sometimes they're in battle. Sometimes they get along. But in this situation, it's kind of like gotten to another future where we have automatons, we have machines roaming around with us as well. But this is a more advanced machine where it actually thinks it's human, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't know it's not human. So in the beginning of the record, the song is called Recode, and the intro is basically a little skit that we recreated that was kind of taken from Terminator Salvation.
Okay.
Well, I was inspired by Terminator Salvation, when Christian Bale was talking to the resistance through like a sort of like a CB radio that was able to pick up radio frequencies and you can hear it on the radio. So it's definitely post-apocalyptic. And Recode, the opening track, the opening line says, "Imagine your life taken from you." That pretty much describes everything that we went through as far as all the legalities and, bankruptcies and divorces and, losing money and just being broke. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All the sacrifices that we had to go through just to get this record out. So that one line kind of describes everything. And then when he gets to a song like Aggression Continuum, it has this conversation that's going on between a man and a machine, and the machine doesn't realize that it's not human. So it's just the relationship between the two that's going on. You have a song like Purity, where that's another thing where it comes from the perspective of the automaton that thinks it's human. He's in the chorus, one of the lines is like, "I am one of you." That's the main tagline. "I am one of you."
What a great hook too. Great hook.
Yeah. There's one song that kind of jumps off subject, and that's a song called "Fuel Injected Suicide Machine." And that's,
I made note of that. That's musically one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a ripping track. That is a song about the perspective of the first movie of Mad Max, where there's a guy, he calls himself the Knight Rider. It's kind of like the first opening scene of the whole movie. It's a guy called the Knight Rider, and he's this badass hot rod, and he's just plowing whoever's in his way.
Yep.
Right?
Love it.
You probably know it.
Yeah.
So it's talking about the perspective of him. "I'm the Knight Rider. I'm the fuel-injected suicide machine." But then, here comes Mad Max, and when he realizes Mad Max is after him, his whole perspective changes. And he's like crying. He's like, he's going to die. He knows he's going to die, right?
Yeah.
The intro of the song is the roar of the engine. In the roar of an engine,
his life
he lost
was
everything.
I lost everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He lost everything. Yeah. So that is basically saying that, he lives by the machine,
That's right.
the engine, right?
And
that was kind of like
backbeat on that song. It's awesome. Just crushing. Absolutely crushing.
Crushing. Yeah, exactly. Then you go to a song like "End of Line," which is the last song, where it's like, okay, it's over. And it almost sounded like Bert knew it was over.
Right. I liken that to the original Tron. They used to sign off with that "End of Line." Yeah.
Yep. The computer signing off. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the Tron thing. And then after that, it's the outro where you hear the speech, "Fear is the mind killer. When the fear passes by, only I remain." Right. That was like the perspective of me continuing on.
Awesome. Which is perfect for the final track of the record. So
yes, exactly. There's so many different movies that are entwined in this album, like Collapse. The intro of that is from First Blood.
Is it?
I want to say it's the sergeant that's telling everybody, or it's the police officer that's telling everybody to go inside because, they're going to take on Sylvester Stallone.
Brian Dennehy, the cop.
Yeah. There's so many, movie stuff on this record. You know what I mean? And that's just being a fan of movies, man. Being a fan of futuristic movies or just movies that inspired us over the years.
When you spend enough time on tour buses and airplanes, you tend to watch a lot of them.
Well, even before that, even when we were just, scrubs living in LA trying to make a buck doing odd jobs, we were watching these movies and just being blown away. And I always thought, like, what happens if I made a record or a band based off all this stuff that we like? And it started from the very beginning. Fear Factory. Fear Factory is anything that manufactures fear, and it could be anything. It could be anything: religion, school, government, technology. Anything that manufactures fear. So we've always had that idea from the beginning. Soul of a New Machine was somebody said there was a book named after that, but when we saw Terminator 2 before it came out, there was advertisement for the movie, right? One of the journalists who got to see the movie did a review on it, and he was describing the new T-1000, which was a new Terminator, and he called it the Soul of a New Machine.
So it goes way back.
Way back, Soul of a New Machine, Terminator. Then Fear is the Mind Killer.
Yep.
Is the EP.
Great EP.
Demanufacture was just the fall of LA. From 92 to 94, we had fires, floods, earthquakes, and riots.
Riots, yes.
in those 2 years.
That was just a few years before I moved to LA.
Yeah, and then Obsolete was taken from Twilight Zone episode, where basically books were becoming obsolete.
Burgess Meredith is in that one.
Yes. You remember that one, right?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the first ones I remember as a kid.
You are obsolete. When he had to go to trial or court. Whatever.
Yeah, I had a judgment. The first 3 tracks on the record, I believe the title track is third, and the single is second, and then, of course, Recode kicking things off, really puts into perspective what musically, I think, the album in a nutshell. Was it easy to fall in a groove once you guys started writing the record? Or
the thing is that when me and Bert write records,
right,
a lot of times I'm in one studio just writing the music, and he's at home writing down lyric ideas, right?
Okay.
And then once I'm done with the music, then I give it to him, and he kind of picks and chooses songs. Now, I was really surprised when he picked Fuel Injected Suicide Machine, because I thought it was going to be too heavy for him to want to get into or too fast. But he was really into it, and he felt the vibe to call it Fuel Injected Suicide Machine. Like, he was like, that's what this song fits perfect with that title and what that song is about. So we write in 2 different studios, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm done with the music, I send it to whatever studio he's working out of. And he goes in there and he starts doing his vocals. And periodically I come in, peek my head in, see how he's doing, see if there's any changes that need to be made.
There's some variants on this record too, which is exciting because classic Fear Factory always had a mix of speeds and styles. And Collapse, you mentioned that one before. One of my favorites, kind of a slower, more grinding number.
Brutal.
With that great start-stop riffing and the double bass patterns during the verses. Great song, love that one.
Yeah, Collapse is just one of those things of the system collapsing, and it sounds like something is collapsing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just bringing pure power and intensity in a really slow fucking groove with an 8-string guitar.
So thick, so layered. I wanted to ask about the 25th anniversary of Demanufacture, the LP. You got one yet?
Oh, I got one, Jeff, of course. You want to see it? So this is the first time that we've ever released it in North America. Now, it came out in Europe back in the day, but it didn't come out here.
Super exciting.
I feel really cool because we were able to actually get Warner Brothers gave us access to the raw files, raw mixing, unmastered files.
Okay.
So we were able to go in and remaster it for
vinyl.
Vinyl. Now, what I learned is that the grooves in the vinyl are fatter.
Sweet.
So this thing sounds crystal clear. It has a different clarity. Yeah.
That's exciting to hear. I can't wait to get one. So we also look forward to, again, June 18th, the 10th studio record, Aggression Continuum. Well crafted, and again, gargantuan hooks as usual, and a great production. So congratulations. And how the hell you support that on the road in the next year, I'm curious to find out, but we look forward to it. When are we going to hear about a new vocalist for the band?
After the record's out.
After the record's out. Fair enough. Well, at least you've given us a time instead of more question marks. So thanks, brother. Dino Cazares, Fear Factory, the new record, again, June 18th. Appreciate you taking the time, and we will see you when you can get back on the road.
Thank you very much. And if you want to get anything from Fear Factory, go to fearfactory.com. There you'll be able to find your CDs, your vinyls, your cassettes, and your merchandise.
So that's fearfactory.com.
Fearfactory.com, yes.
Thanks again, brother.
Thanch you, man. I appreciate it.
In the roar of an engine, he lost everything. Respect for human life.
Fuel Injected Suicide Machine, probably my favorite song from the latest Fear Factory record, Aggression Continuum, and thanks to Dino for joining the program. Great to talk to that guy. It's been a few years. Before we wind up this episode of the Nuclear Pod Blast, we'll run down some highlights in the store at nuclearblastusa.com. In stock now, the brand new Helloween album on vinyl, the different versions, light blue and orange, red and blue Corona, brown and white marble, gold vinyl, and triple hologram black vinyl. Whoa. Killer Be Killed, Reluctant Hero, 2 LP plus a lithograph, limited 150 worldwide. Silver and black vinyl swirls in a gatefold jacket, plus limited edition 18 by 24 foil stock lithograph, $42.99. Benediction's latest Scriptures, 2 LP imported from Germany, double clear vinyl, presented in a gatefold sleeve, limited to 600 copies worldwide, $30.99. Some pre-orders that are available: Paradise Lost at the Mill Digibook, out July 23rd. That's imported from Germany. It includes a CD and Blu-ray, 16-page booklet, and laminate. It's limited to 1,000 copies worldwide and exclusive to our Nuclear Blast mail order. $26.99. Also, LP versions include orange marble, green splatter, blue marble, and turquoise. The Vader De Profundis remaster. There's a gold LP edition of that out August 6th. Limited to 500 copies, imported from Germany, $26.99. Fear Factory Aggression Continuum. The pre-order for October 1st. There's a black and blue swirl with white splatter, 2 LP vinyl, in a gatefold jacket, limited to 1,000 copies worldwide. It's $26.99 US. Except have a glow-in-the-dark 2 LP version for Too Mean to Die that's coming out. That's a pre-order as well. Ministry's Moral Hygiene on both black and flesh pink vinyl, a pre-order for October 8th. That'll be killer. A Valediction from Obscura 2 LP, available in gold, silver, black, and yellow-orange vinyl, all limited from Germany. And don't forget the Rob Zombie, the Lunar Injection album. The latest is a 2 LP Oxblood and orange swirl with black splatter, 140-gram vinyl in a gatefold jacket with 28-page booklet. Limited to 3,000 copies worldwide. Check all of that out and more at nuclearblastusa.com. 33 years after their inception, England's Paradise Lost are not only one of the most influential metal bands in the world and founders of the gothic metal genre, but they're also one of the most varied acts in heavy metal. From death and doom to catchy synth pop hymns, never hesitated to cross boundaries and yet always stayed true to themselves as songwriters. After a spectacular number 2 spot in the German album charts with their latest album, Obsidian, the band now unveils a live album consisting of 16 tracks that cover nearly every style and big hit from the 3-decade-long career. Captured at the Mill nightclub near the band's hometown in Yorkshire, the recording of the Blu-ray was directed by Ash Pearce, who previously worked with the band on their music videos for Medusa and Obsidian. The audio version of the show will be available as vinyl and CD. So we'll end this episode of the Nuclear Pod Blast with this live version of Darker Thoughts, live at the Mill, out now. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm your host of Metal Ceremonies, Andrew Sample. We'll catch you next time on the Nuclear Pod Blast.
Drifting through loss, we escape from the cost of the pain. The healing through years so obscured by the tears and the strain. But there's one-way street you're on. You'll never be fulfilled. And there's one-way street you're on.